A little bit about me, in addition to the bio. Like I said, I've been doing this, I'm actually going on about 12 years. And I got started as a professional organizer when I was living in Chicago, and I was chatting with a friend of mine who had, a family of 4 and was just complaining about her basement, that she was just saying that the laundry area was such a mess. And she was so overwhelmed by it. She didn't know where to begin. It made her really feel like a failure as a mother. And as a homemaker, and, it was so much more, it was about so much more than just dirty laundry. And so she mentioned that she was going to hire someone. And, again, this was back in 2009-ish. So I'd never heard of this as a service, but I knew that I'd always been organized, and I had been, gotten a bit burned out from my previous career and was looking for something new. So I decided to give it a try. And fast forward, all of these years, I started out working because I had a very young family, started out organizing busy young families in the city. And that just grew and grew and grew to the point where at this point I have a team. We will organize any space in the home, big or small, whether it's garage, an attic, kitchen, pantry, things like that. We've also started doing move and unpack services. So really any aspect. I also work with time management, anything having to do, with organizing in your home. And in a lot of ways, I like to teach busy people, and everybody is always so busy, how to declutter, make better use of their time, and transform their homes into beautiful, stress-free sanctuaries of calm. Unlike in the Netflix shows, I work side by side with the clients. At least I really prefer that. I like getting to know people and designing the organizing systems based on their lifestyle and their preferences. And that really develops during, informal conversations as you're sorting socks and, looking at labels and things. When you work with an organizer, you'll be more efficient, you'll stay focused, and will be given unlimited access to an expert in his or her field. So I find it to be a very rewarding experience. And, I work in 4-hour blocks of time, and it's really amazing how much you can change your space in a short, dedicated spurts of organizing. So speaking of, let's start with how to organize any space in your house in just 4 steps. I should also add to, I plan on having, a bit of a Q&A at the end. So, if you think of questions, whether it's while I'm talking or even at the end, feel free to put them in the chat, and then I can go back and look them over. Hopefully a lot of the questions of yours I can answer. I'll answer in my talk anyways. But so how to organize any space in your house in just 4 steps. These are the steps that I use and whenever I work. And the first step is not go to Target or the Container Store to buy organizing supplies. That is definitely, that makes you feel like you're getting stuff done, but it really is just going to add to the clutter. So my first step is always to walk around and come up with a plan, analyze what's going on, become a lot more aware of how you're using the space. For instance, if you were to organize your kitchen, think about what cabinets and drawers are the easiest for you to reach, what appliances are you using the most, what is sitting there with a layer of dust on it, where are you naturally prepping your food? Do you have to crisscross the kitchen multiple times to get stuff done? Does that annoy you? Do you have to, does it seem to take longer than you feel like it should to empty your dishwasher, or are things very efficient? Is stuff accumulating on the counters because there's no more room in your cabinets, or because you'll forget about it because you don't see it? So all of these sort of big picture step back questions you should really ask yourself before you even begin. And what this is it allows you to look at your stuff needs, your space needs, and your habits so that you can determine the most successful setup and figure out some goals. Also part of The plan is to then determine an identity for a space. And this is something that I'm going to repeat a few times. It's basically saying, okay, this is the closet that is closest to my front door that we come in and out of. So the only thing that's going to be stored in this closet is coming and going gear. That means that that sort of thing is not going to be somewhere else in the house. And also that that closet is not going to be used to store, say, photos or, you know, kitchen gadgets or things like that. It's like, this is the identity and this is the only space that this type of thing will be found in. So once you come up with a plan, then the next step is to declutter and sort. And that involves pulling everything out, sorting like with like, and then picking out the best one. And it's often the easiest if you pull out and grab together all of your black shirts, all of the spatulas, all of the sneakers. When you can see all of the same type next to each other, it becomes much more easier to figure out which is the one of these 5 or 6 or whatever that you use the most and you like the best. So sort and declutter. Then once you know what stays versus what you've decided to either toss, recycle, or donate, then the next step is to find homes for things. There's different principles that organizers use to do this. Either we use the concept of prime real estate. That way, say, again, in the kitchen, you know, put dishes and things that you use every day somewhere that's very close to you, somewhere that's easily accessible. Put the holiday platters and specialty items further away. So that's prime real estate. Another way to find a home is to put stuff where you use it. So for instance, I have a little kit where I keep all the gift wrap, and inside the gift wrap, I have some scissors and I have some tape, and that way everything is together, it's in a kit, and I put it next to the table where I tend to wrap the gifts. So it's easy, it becomes a really easy system. And then number 4, maintain. So put stuff back. Once you've taken the time to come up with a plan, declutter and remove what shouldn't be there, find proper homes for things, put stuff back, because you've spent all this time and maintaining long-term. And at the very end, my last section, I'm going to talk about, you know, good maintenance habits, but it's really through maintaining that you're able to stay organized long-term. So let's talk a little bit more specifically in regards to 2 hot spots that people always ask me about. I'm going to talk about my best practices for kitchen organizing and the best practices for closet organizing. So the kitchen is a space where function is extremely important. The goal of any kitchen organizing project should be to make the kitchen lovely, efficient, and clutter-free. And so how do we do that? Number 1, again, we find a home for everything. We find some space that's there, but is just being cluttered and not being used well. And then we have to create the order with certain products to transform your kitchen. So find space. Let me share my screen. Hang on a second. So I should have. Okay. Oh, I forgot that. So here we go, a review of how to organize any space in your home. 4 simple steps. Kitchen drawers. Okay, so in your kitchen, we have to find space. And I should say that all of the photos that are included in the slides are projects that, you know, my team and I have completed fairly recently. So you find space in the kitchen. The first way, the easiest way, something that you can do if you only have 20 minutes, is you clean out all the Tupperware and all of the food storage containers. You try to match it up, tops with bottoms, bottoms with tops. Any orphans, just toss. They've been ruined, who knows where they went. They tend to walk like socks do. You know, get rid of those. And that one simple trick will save you so much space. I then like to store them so that they're nesting and that the tops are in one of the larger containers. Though you can also just get a separate container just for the tops. You can also find space. I mean, it's one of the things I see almost universally is you open up a cabinet underneath a sink and it's full of all sorts of plastic bags. So a great way to find space in the area underneath your sink is to take all those plastic bags and put them into a small tissue box container. You're going to be shocked at how many plastic bags really fit
Yeah,
in that small tissue box container. And it goes really far. It takes up such a small amount of space that you can really use for other purposes. The third thing is that I recommend for finding space in your kitchen is to use a Sharpie to put the date on items like cold cuts, sauces, jellies, things like that, of when you open it. That way you get a better sense of, when something goes bad, how long it's been open. We always sort of forget that stuff, especially if you're in a hurry. So have a Sharpie handy in your kitchen junk drawer, and write the dates that you open it every time you do it. Okay, so once you found the space, we need to create order within those spaces. So as I said before, starting with the organizing products is not the first step, but in the kitchen, organizing products make so much of a difference. As you can see here, over here are these drawer dividers. These are great to use. So many kitchens now have drawers as opposed to shelves. And this is a great way to create order, to create some structure in a big, large open space. These are retractable drawer dividers. I got them on Amazon. And I always like to get the same color that the drawer is, and then it gives it a bit of a built-in look. These are made of bamboo. I like these the best. I try to use them whenever possible, but you get them in clear plastic. You can get them in black, white, gray, brown, whatever it is. And you can see here that, it's being used to create some order. And then the other picture here is the drawer organizers. And those are just little containers that are super useful for, again, taking a really messy jumbled drawer and separating it out so you can find stuff more easily. These two, I did the same thing here with, it was a light brown drawer and a light wood drawer. And so I used bamboo containers, but, again, depending on your preferences, you can get these in plastic, metal, mesh, colors, clear, whatever it is. They're super easy to find and very, very useful. So that's the other type of kitchen cabinet organizing supply, or for the cabinets. The vertical pan holder is one of my favorite ways. It's always so frustrating and loud and annoying when you have these stacks of pans and bakeware, and inevitably you want the one on the bottom, and then you have to move everything, and it just makes a loud noise and gets messy. And so this vertical pan holder, if that really bothers you, a vertical pan holder will change your life. You see how it's a great use of space. This one, it's a little bit harder to see in the picture, but there are these posts that hold these up. You see I'm using this for cutting boards, muffin tins, drying racks, whatever is fairly flat. I also have one in my kitchen that I use to store platters. It's all, very convenient. All you got to do is slide it out. The image in the middle shows kitchen risers, or a kitchen shelf. And that's really great when you have a lot of vertical space that's not being used, but you really need every inch of space. You see here how it's essentially doubled the usable space in the cabinet. Again, these are also very easy to find. And then finally, the 3-tiered riser. That is very handy when you have maybe a cabinet or a pantry and you can't see everything. This with the tiering, it allows you to see the cans and jars and things that are a little bit further back. So it's great for visibility. Okay. And then, so the best kitchen organizing tips: find space by tossing mismatched Tupperware, expired food, and the mess of plastic bags. Use organizing products to create order. Oh, I didn't mention labels, but label everything, especially if you live in a household where it's not just you living there. That will really help everybody help you maintain order. And finally, and I think that this is my most important kitchen organizing takeaway: try not to use the counters for storage. You know, something, you know, small appliances that you use every day is one thing, but if the best way to keep your kitchen looking neat is not to use the countertop as storage space. The countertop is workspace, it's utility, it should be reserved for that purpose. If you have no space in the cabinets for these items, then that needs to be your cue that it's time to purge. It's time to go through the top and the bottom so that everything that's accumulating on the countertop has a new home. So, and that's a great way to live more comfortably and in general, enjoy your kitchen more. Okay. So let's go to closets best practices. Again, you know, when organizing a closet, the first step is to assign an identity to the closet. And, you know, I'm going to talk really specifically about like the clothes in your bedroom closets. And to that point, that's really what that closet is for. You know, the primary bedroom closet is not necessarily, you know, the place to keep toys or office supplies or anything else that doesn't really have much to do with getting dressed. Like I know it seems like it's a natural place to keep personal mementos, maybe some photos, things like that. But aside from that, it really should be where your collection of things to wear is located. And that has a really practical purpose. You know, the goal is for you to be able to get dressed easily every morning and to have everything in one simple spot. And so if if you make all the space in your closet just for getting dressed items, then it just makes the whole process that much more easy. So when organizing a closet, you, again, you start with a sort and an edit. And I always recommend that people be pretty ruthless about what you end up keeping. Donate anything that's not flattering, that you no longer like, that's out of date. You know, again, be really strict. Like, you deserve to look good whenever you leave the house, whenever you are at home. I know, you know, we're still working from home so much, you know, and also make sure to have your clothes match the season of your life. I have come across so many closet organizing projects where the reason that the client tells me, you know, I have a closet full of clothes and I can never find anything to wear. And, you know, when we dive a little bit deeper, it's because the majority of the closet are filled with clothes that were things that people are keeping more maybe for sentimental reasons or just because they didn't have time, but they haven't worn in ages. Maybe it was from a previous job or a previous life experience, a previous stage of life. So make sure, and this is true of anything in your home, that, you know, what is in your closet, what's easily accessible, matches the season of your life. Reasons not to keep stuff, because I know sometimes people have trouble letting go. You know, don't keep something because you bought it on sale or because you spent a lot of money on it and now you feel guilty. Don't keep clothes that, you know, are 3 sizes smaller because that's, you know, where you eventually want to be. All of these clothes, I would not recommend keeping clothes like this, because all of these clothes at the end of the day just have really negative associations. You know, it's like you don't want to be reminded of the fact that you're not able to wear the certain outfit that you used to wear, that you used to look great in. You know, you don't want to keep feeling guilty that you spent here's this dress that you spent so much money on and you never wore. The guilt is not going to make you wear it again. You're just going to keep opening up the closet and taking a look and feeling guilty and then closing it and walking away. So eliminate that. The money's been spent. You bought it on sale, you splurged, it was a mistake. That's okay. We all make mistakes. Just sort of pack it away and move on, because there's so many people out there that could really use the stuff that for you is clutter and for you is just a burden. And that's what those categories of clothes are. So I really encourage people, again, this is part of being ruthless, get rid of any article of clothing that when you put it on, you just sort of groan and you grunt and you go from standing up straight and lovely to just, you know, all huddled over. So again, you know, be aware as you're going through your clothes of what sort of emotional reaction you have to it. Be selective, be honest. Chances are, if you have not worn a pair of shorts all summer, you're not going to want to wear it next summer. Use the seasons as cues. And when you have a lot of something, think about duplicates in relation to how often you do laundry. I was just working today with a mom. We were trying to find some more space in the daughter's bedroom for toys and Barbie stuff. And I opened up a drawer of the dresser, and there were probably 30 pairs of pajamas. And when I asked her how often laundry was done, she said it gets done every other day. And that was good space. The daughter doesn't need, if you're doing laundry so often, you don't need so many pairs of pajamas. So think about that. Again, think about your stuff in relation to your lifestyle. A great way to find space in a closet: move off-season clothes somewhere else, put it higher. If possible, put it in a different area of the house. Again, just so that when you go to get dressed, everything that you need is right there, easy to access. Easy things to toss: anything that's stained, stretched out, broken. This includes old socks, undergarments. I always throw away or give to my dry cleaner the wire hangers, any plastic hangers that have lost their shape, and also plastic bags for dry cleaning are really terrible for your clothes, especially white clothes. It will eventually cause them to be yellow. Let your fabrics breathe. Get rid of all the plastic bags. And then when you go, our third step, find homes for things. Think about your lifestyle. Think about how comfortable it is for you to reach. Don't put the tops that you wear all the time really high so that you have to, get out with the step stool. That's not very convenient. And again, think about your lifestyle. If you spend most of your week in office attire, make that, easiest to reach. If you go to the gym regularly, put all of your workout clothes in a place that's very centrally located. Want to go to the gym but never really get there, relegates the sports bras to maybe a lower shelf, not so front and center. Smart tip that I always like, that really helps people with the decluttering process, is to, when you redo the closet, hang the hangers backwards. And as you wear an item, if you love it, hang it back up with the hanger facing the correct way. And then any item left at the end of the season facing the wrong way is a sign that you never wore it, and it's something that you can either donate or consign. So let me share some useful closet organizing products that again will help you maintain order once you take all the time to do this. Okay, so best closet organizing tips. Again, or I should say too, that if you look in this picture, the reason this closet, or there's a few reasons why this closet looks so nice. One is that we are using all of the coordinating hangers, all of the same. This is not a must-have to have coordinating hangers, but having all the same hangers really does give your closet a really neat and finished look to it. Another thing that I used here that's really helpful are the dividers, the clear dividers. Right there on the shelves, and that helps define the space, keep the stacks neat. That's a great way too, if you want to store purses on shelves, to use those dividers to keep the purses upright. I find closet dividers are very helpful. Best closet organizing tips, in addition to those two types of products, again, only use your clothes closet to store clothes. In the closet, group clothes by type. Be ruthless with the edit. Again, you deserve to look amazing in anything that you own. And here, use coordinating hangers and shelf dividers. So those are the closet tips. Now I'm gonna move on to, the daily home organizing habits that will change your life forever. So again, this is, I'm gonna stop the share for a sec. This is, right after New Year's, new year, new you, make 2022 your most organizing year yet. This is the time when we're all making a lot of New Year's resolutions. No doubt, if you join the call and are interested in the topic, that getting organized is probably on your resolution list. Now, Statistics show that most people are not keeping their New Year's resolutions by, say, June. So I don't want that to happen to you. And the best way to avoid becoming part of that statistic is not necessarily to focus on the organizing tasks, but to focus on habits. And if you change your habits, if you change your routines, then that is how you're able to keep your resolutions long term. So there's a bunch of habits that, professional organizers across the board tend to work into their daily life, because living an organized life doesn't just happen. There are things that we do every day to maintain this lifestyle. So my number one habit for the new year would be to shop with intention. And with that, it's, fill the spaces you live in only with items that bring you joy. Only buy yourself clothes that make you look great. Honor your space and yourself enough to not clutter it up with anything average or unuseful. Before you buy, ask yourself, do I really need this? Will I actually wear this? And if I bring it home, this is important, do I have a place to put it? If the answer is no to any of these questions, it's best to just walk away, just leave the store, hand it back to the sales lady or the checkout person. At the end of the day, the less you own, the less you have to take care of. So don't even bring it in, shop with intention. Habit number 2, always be organizing. Think about it like a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant, where they're always sort of cleaning or bringing or doing or adjusting the space according to the needs of the patrons. Declutter as you go. As you walk through your home, opening drawers, putting away clothes, if you go into the kitchen junk drawer, to get a key or to get a pen, and there's some gum wrappers there, throw them away. If you see something that belongs in the garbage, just do it right then and there. It just takes a few minutes. And there really is a peace of mind in knowing that the drawer is filled exactly with only what belongs in it. Okay. Number 2, boundaries. Prevent clutter by thinking of shelves, drawers, and closets as boundaries. When these areas fill up, don't keep buying another piece of storage furniture. Don't keep piling it on the countertop. Instead, use this as a sign to purge. So again, with the clothes, I like to say that if someone has a clothes closet and then a dresser, it's like, this is your collection. This is this boundary. If you are bringing in clothes and it no longer fits, no matter how much you shove into the dresser, don't start additional piles. Don't clutter up the top of the dresser. Use it as a cue that it's time to purge. That's your boundary. You've exceeded your boundary and it's time to go through. What will significantly help with this, especially in regards to clothes, is to keep a donation bag at the foot of your closet or a bin or something. That way, when you try on something and you decide that you just don't love it anymore, or it just doesn't look as good on you as you thought it did, just put it right in the donation bag. And then when the bag is full, pop it in your car and take it to the donation place. The number 5 habit that I really encourage everyone to use is to start making lists. Write it down, type it into your iPhone, whatever seems more natural, whatever method works the best for you. What happens when we use lists is it has the added benefit of taking out the stress of worrying that you're going to forget to do the thing. Write it down, and then a little bit of that stress of your day is eliminated. Make sure to post the list in a place that's very visible. I have 2 children, one is 15 and one is 12. You'd think that they would be a little bit more on the ball, but we still have right by the front door a list of everything they need for school to make sure that they take it with them so that they don't forget. And we check that list. I look over that list every time before we leave, and it has been so helpful. So make lists, post them in very, very visible places. Number 6, and I touched upon this before, a great habit to maintain is to put stuff back. To maintain organization, you must put things back where they belong each and every time. Now, this doesn't mean that every time you take out a pen or you take something out, you need to put it back immediately. Again, you need to take your lifestyle into account. But if you can't put it back immediately, then make yourself a promise that maybe by the end of the day, that everything goes back. It's just so freeing and wonderful and calming to wake up to a calm space with everything in its place. And the only way to achieve that is to be a bit disciplined about putting stuff back. And then the final long-term habit that I really encourage people to adopt is also what I think the easiest, namely make your bed every morning. This only takes about 30 seconds. And if the bed is really the predominant element in any bedroom, and so a made bed really goes a long way in maintaining the order of that space. It's also really nice to be able to come into your room at the end of the day when you're really tired and the last thing you want to do is pick up and see a beautifully made bed. So those are, we'll review. I'll screen. So yeah, so here we are, these habits. Shop with intention, always be organizing, establish boundaries, keep donation bags in your closet, make lists, put stuff back, and make your bed every morning. Now, you don't have to, with habits, you don't want to adopt too many at once, but choose 2, 3, whatever seem comfortable, even one, even if you just started making your bed every morning, you would really get yourself off to a much more organized year. So let's go back. We have a bunch of time if there are any specific questions. I know I covered a lot of ground, but there are definitely, other areas. I don't know if anybody has any hot spots or issues that they've been struggling with or just wondering about for, the next year. I'm curious to know too, why did you sign up for this talk? Was there just one area of your house that you were concerned about? And if so, what is that area? What would you say maybe is your most troublesome clutter area, where you feel like the clutter just can't quit? Or, was there another reason to join on? And just type it, or either you can raise your hand and I can unmute you, or write it in the chat. Okay. Okay, so somebody wrote, Kristen wrote, I have bins of hand-me-downs for my nephew, waiting for my son to grow into them. Yes, I feel like hand-me-downs are both a blessing and a curse. And, because here's something that is a really useful item, or at least, it was useful to your nephew. And how many years is it going to be until your own son fits in them? Maybe. Kristen, I can even unmute you, I think.
I think I can unmute myself.
Oh, okay, hi. Yeah, so how many years is it going to be until he fits into it?
I really have no idea. My son is 5. My nephew is in 8th grade, and many of them are quite in what I would consider expensive hand-me-downs, Vineyard Vines, Polo, like Adidas and all of the nicer dress clothes. And I mean, I've got bins from, like, right now I'd say my son is kind of in like the small size, 6, 7-ish, and I mean these bins go all the way up until 16, 18 in boy sizes. So wow. I even have shoes which don't pack very well, and I've even tried to sort and get rid of the stuff that I don't like, which takes forever in and of itself, and I just keep the really good stuff. But I mean, I've got 6, 8 bins, and then she even sends over like his old hockey equipment and extra baseball toys and stuff. I'm like, that
that's
that
what
I
I'm
know
saying.
My son, go ahead.
No, I feel like that's what I'm saying, that on the one hand, this is such a gift, and it's great that she's saving you so much money, but it's crossing the line, it sounds like, into almost being a burden. Because I don't know how much space you have in your house, but 6 to 8 bins is a lot. And I think you've definitely done the right thing by going through it and picking out the stuff that you really like. And really, I mean, that's the only, like, if you wanted to donate it yourself, or even, send it into a resale shop, to go through, what you could do is, take a bin. You have a good sense now of how much your son wears and what he likes to wear. And there's probably things that, your nephew wore that maybe your son isn't gonna like. Also, different sizes change, bodies types change, things like that. I would, if I were you, I would turn on your set a timer for an hour, turn on your favorite playlist, pick a bin, go through it, pick out your absolute favorites, and set aside maybe even to send to like an online resale store the stuff that you don't like, but that's in, good condition. And then that might be a good way maybe to whittle it down from 8 bins to maybe 3 or 4. Does that sound doable?
It does. I feel like I've already done that though. And now I'm like, oh, I'm still overwhelmed. And I tried to shove as much as I could of one size per bin as a goal, but it's just, there's still so much taking time. And
Well,
kind of along the lines of your donate versus online consignment, is the online consignment even really worth it? Because what are like their listing fees and stuff like that? I looked into that once briefly for something else, and I felt like I would just, what would I really make? $2,
yeah,
$1?
I think, that is a really good question that I get a lot. And I was going to say, feel free to get out of your house whatever overwhelms you, because that collection shouldn't overwhelm you. And I'm sure that she didn't intend to overwhelm you when she gave it to you. So I like, the short answer to your question is it's not going to make you rich by reselling the clothes. That should ever be the goal, but it could be, and donating something is certainly so much easier. And it really benefits someone, because again, there are definitely people out there who are really struggling and they need those clothes, and they will not, whereas they're a burden to you, there's not going to be a burden to them. So that's the easy thing. If you were to go the online route, I like the online stores where they sell it for you. You just send in a bag, they pick up what they want to sell, they donate what they don't think is going to sell, and then you get a small check. I like it, although you get a smaller percentage. They're doing all the work, you don't have to. And it's sort of fun money. Again, you're not going to make a career out of it, but if you decide that you want a little bit extra money, great. If you decide it's not worth your time, then donate it. Pick an organization, and everybody is going to be really thrilled. And then I would also think about maybe asking, is it your sister, your sister-in-law? Maybe talking to her and saying, listen, before you send me stuff, do you want to send me some pictures, or come up with a gentle, I really appreciate it, but I don't have the space to store it, something. Otherwise, she's just going to keep.
I'm pretty sure she just uses that bag technique, and just as they grow out, she dumps it, and then she dumps it in my house.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and then, oh no. Do you have examples or a few to choose from for those online stores that do everything?
Yeah, I like, I'm going to type it in the chat. I like ThreadUp.
Okay.
That's my favorite. There's sometimes they get a little bit of a backlog, and I think in general all the companies are. But yeah, and I have to say too, usually with my clients, unless they have a lot and unless it's like all good brands, I really just encourage them to donate it. Do whatever is easiest for you. I'm all about easy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. Yay, lots of questions. Okay, do you have suggestions for clothes if a room only has dresser drawers and not a proper closet? Yes, I would, generally speaking, the buy more stuff is not the answer, but I would definitely get a freestanding wardrobe to, hang clothes. They're not they come in all sorts of colors and shapes and sizes, but a freestanding wardrobe, make sure to measure and be aware of the depth and take into account that you're going to need space for the doors when you measure out a space. But it's called I'll write it in. Freestanding wardrobe is what you could look up. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Okay, Kimberly asked about books. Kimberly, do you want to unmute yourself and tell me a little bit more?
Hi, sure.
Hi.
Hi. I love books. I have books all over the place and I get more books, but I'm running out of place to put books. How do I sort? Because I love them all.
Do you, and you don't want to, you want to keep them, you're not looking to declutter.
I probably should declutter. Yes.
So this, I completely understand. I have a hard time parting with books as well. And I think most people do. And I think that books are, in a lot of ways, at least for me, and maybe you feel this too, it also, like, it triggers the memory. You remember when you bought that book, when you read that book, it reminds you of a special time. You know, it's this emotional pull. Then there's the books that you have that you want to read and the ones that you want to read again. So when going through the books, you know, the first sort of big picture idea that I have is it's the space or the stuff. You know, if you decide that books are what make you happy, that you love seeing them in your home, that they give a sense of warmth, then make space for the books and know that you're choosing the books, and then you're going to have to give up something else. If you've decided that, you know, you love books, but there's just too many, you need the space for other things, then a great way to do it is to, you know, maybe sort the books by, I don't know, type or author, or, you know, go through, honestly, it's going to take a while. You know, the process of making sure, you know, taking the book, asking yourself, do you love it? Do you need it? Will you ever reread it? Again, this sounds like a really big project. And in order to prevent you from being overwhelmed, my big suggestion would be to, again, set a timer for like an hour and just tackle it. Like, go through every single book and say, you know, do I love it? Do I need it? Establish a very high threshold for yourself of like, I need to love this book, because it's really easy to say in general, I love books. But then when you get down to it, even if you decide to donate 5 books, you still love books. You know, it's not the amount that's in your collection, it's the quality of the collection, and it's the importance of your collection to you. And it's much better to, and it's much easier to enjoy a collection of 20 books that are your favorite rather than 300 books that are just sort of there. So that would be my suggestion. You know, you're already feeling like it's overwhelming, try to whittle it down. Promise yourself that you're not going to get any new ones until, you know, you'll bring in 5 new books if you donate 10 or something like that. You know, set up some parameters for yourself so that the collection isn't overwhelming, but that it's still something that you really enjoy.
Thank you. That sounds great.
I hope that's helpful. Good. Okay. The next question, we inherited a lot of stuff. Oh, the sentimental stuff. That is also, these are tough ones. I understand. So this one too, I think just needs a bit of time, because the stuff, you know, when it comes to the memories, when it comes to the sentimental, that's really one of the hardest things to part with. And your husband has to be ready to accept that it's time to go through, and maybe it could start with, you know, the sort of low-hanging fruit. One of the most powerful questions that I ask people when going through sentimental things, especially as it relates to somebody who's passed on, is, you know, is this thing how you want to remember this person? And maybe the answer is yes. And there's all sorts of interesting ways that we remember a person through their belongings, but it's not necessarily like you need every single shirt or photograph or object or whatever to maintain that memory. I know that at least for me, like in my case, I have these cookie cutters from my grandmother, and they're a specific recipe that she used for them, and I have all these memories of baking them with her, and they're really important. You know, they're not worth very much monetarily, they don't look like much, but this is something that was really important, an object that I really wanted to remember her by. And a great way to go through sentimental items is to, you know, pick it up and say, is this how I want to remember this person? Is this the most important symbol of our relationship? And the process will take time, and it's going to take some layers. So like the first time you go through that, there's going to be a few things that are going to be set aside to donate. But then, you know, revisit it over time, and, you know, he'll see that over time, the meanings of things change and memories change, and the most important memories and the most important objects associated with those memories really begin to crystallize. And so the process will go more quickly. But I would just say, you know, tread lightly, you know, give him some space to work it through, but then, you know, don't let it overwhelm your home. You know, it's okay maybe to, with his permission, to put in a box or put it somewhere out of sight for now. So, okay. The next question also is about paper. I feel like I could give an entire talk just about paper. I would say the quick tips for organizing mail is whatever you can do, like do what you can to not bring it in. So, you know, have a recycle bin as close to the mailbox as possible. The overwhelming majority of mail that we get is junk mail. There's also some services that you can sign up for that will take your name off of the junk mail list. There's an app, I'm gonna put it in the chat, called Paper Karma, that I love. That I use it all the time. A piece of mail comes in that I don't want, I take a picture of it and it takes me off the list. It's not a free app, it's paid, but I will tell you that I get maybe 3 or 4 pieces of mail a day, if that. So I highly recommend that. And then with kids' school papers, you know, it's that I think too also falls in the same category as the sentimental. What I like to do with kids stuff is to get, you know, a big it's called an underbed bin because it's not very tall, it's very shallow, and I put artwork and important papers and things like that, not like important papers that I need, like a contact list, but just, you know, things that have come up that you want to save. I put it in the bin, and I use that bin as a boundary of, you know, it's really long. So especially if your kid is young and they're bringing home artwork on odd shapes paper, it's going to fit inside it. It fits a lot, but it doesn't fit an endless amount. And what the system is you put the stuff that you think you want to keep in that bin. You can keep it under the bed, as the name suggests, or in the closet or wherever. And then when it fills up, instead of buying another bin, you go through it, and you can either go through it with your child. Sometimes it's fun because they can relive those memories, or you can go through it, and you'll see that with the passage of time, the things that you thought were important maybe aren't as important. And again, you know that you only have so much space to fill. So having that perspective, even if it's just doing it like at the end of the school year as you're filling it with some of the artwork or whatever, you know, go through at that time and again, pick out the favorites, be really ruthless, be really strict, hold a very high standard, because that paper could be just endless. And so you don't want to, you know, end up with piles and piles and bins and bins and bins of paper. So yes. And then for past bills, one of the biggest reason that paper tends to accumulate is because people don't know the rules, the retention rules of what you can keep and what you can throw away. So I have on my website a resources page that has a link to 2 sites that talk about, you know, what are the paper retention rules. I'm gonna type it in, and I would recommend looking there because there's all different rules for how long to keep things and stuff like that. Okay, so it's lessismoreorganizers.com/resources. And that's a great place. It has a list of my favorite products. It has some donation resources, some national, some more local, as well as, there's a chart of like how long to keep makeup, just all sorts of helpful tips and ideas are on that resource page. And I think we're actually coming to a close. There's one more, the entryway and the shoes in the storage. Yes. Okay, so Corinne, I want to answer your question, but I think I need to know more. I don't know if we're going to have that much time, but I would say that I'm going to open entry and storage. I would get some storage. I mean, if you can, get like storage lockers, or you can, put hooks, depends on how much you want to see. You can get a little bench and some shelves to put the shoes on. Of course, you're going to need, a boot tray, but hooks on the walls can be for backpacks. You can also get, a freestanding, like one of those freestanding wardrobes that's just used for stuff. And that way you can just close it up and not see it. But definitely, if you've got the space, then it's really easy to just, Google online like entryway storage, or storage lockers, things like that. You'll be able to find a whole bunch of different products. I would encourage you to give maybe a hook, a basket, and maybe some shoe space for each person in the house, and then everything can be kept together. Labels are really handy, whether it's a kid's name, or mittens, or whatever it is. Just make sure to review the system with everyone in the house, so that every time anybody and make sure that you have the rule of, like, when you come in, you take off your shoes and you leave it here, and you put your backpack here. It's those habits and those routines that kids are doing at school anyway. You're just sort of reinforcing that. So just make sure that once you find places for things, teach everybody to maintain those spaces as well. Okay, I think that we are coming to a close. If I hope that all of these tips were helpful. As I said before, I'm not local to Manhattan, but I do offer virtual organizing services if anybody is interested. And even more, I also have a free newsletter and blog. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to put in the chat, it's lessismoreorganizers.com/subscribe. I have to admit, I've been very busy with clients in December and January, but I aim to get out a newsletter and a blog, each of them once a month, with all my best tips. I'd love to have you guys be on the mailing list. And if there's anything else that you need, please do not hesitate to reach out.